Right now, we are heading into chapter 2 of the 30 years later section. This will probably have to be in two parts because it's slightly longer and I have to keep it under 10 minutes. But that means we've got time to have a little natter. Who is Sol? Is she linked to the previous story? Who is the mistress and her brother? Could they be characters from 30 years before? Where is she? Do we recognise this house in the valley? I wonder if any of you can. I think I've got an idea of where it might be. And who's going to be the person who just shouted, "Stop at her"? Let's find out. Sol's heart pounded. She dropped her hands to her sides and squinted at the figure in the doorway. "Don't touch them." The voice spoke again, urgently. "Stay very still." She did as she was told, sinking back on her heels. The figure was silhouetted against the light, a square shape that could have been a man or a woman, young or old. Sol's fingertips were sticky with the juice of the oranges, covered in dust and the bright colours of butterfly wings. She began to cry. "It's all right, child," said the voice, kinder and closer now. "I know you didn't mean any harm." She looked up for a kaleidoscope of tears and saw it was a woman, using a stretched piece of net to lift the prone butterflies onto the flowers. Except now she looked closely, they were not dead at all. Their wings were opening and closing, so the house rippled like water. She made to stand, but the woman spoke again softly. "Just stay there a minute longer. I'm nearly done." "How many did you touch?" Two, she said. "I'm so sorry. I thought they were hurt." "Only dazed," said the woman as she lifted the injured butterflies onto her palm. She clenched her jaw, then brought her other hand down hard on the bodies. Sol flinched at the sound. "It's kinder that way. They can't survive without their wings," said the woman as she scanned the ground carefully. "Why are they all asleep?" "It's the smoke. I put herbs in it, and it brings them home to rest. It's not safe at night, what with the bats and the snakes." Sol did not know what to say to this, and watched as the woman carefully manoeuvred a final black and red butterfly onto a flower, then leant the net against the wall. "And besides," the woman continued, walking towards her, "never touch a butterfly on its wings, hurt or otherwise. You'd only hurt it more. They're too delicate for human touch." Sol nodded and stood up as the woman approached. She had an open, kind face with big dark eyes. Close up, she looked about Mistress's age. "So," said the woman, "now you know not to touch a butterfly, but you should know already not to wander in the forest so dark and alone." It took Sol a couple of seconds to realise the woman wanted an explanation. Her brain was still filled with butterflies. "I got lost." "I guessed that," the woman smiled. "Where were you heading?" "Manila." "Ah, you are very lost indeed." She turned back to her house. "You'd better stay here tonight." "I can't. My mistress." "Wouldn't want you unsafe, I am sure. I'm going to Manila tomorrow anyway, to give a talk at a school. I can give you a lift." Sol looked behind her at the darkly swaying forest, and her resolve crumbled. She followed the woman towards the lit slice of door. The house was big inside, with paper partitions on runners pushed back against the walls to make one large room. The scented fire at the centre. "Are you hungry? I have some rice, or oranges." Sol slapped her hand to her forehead. "Oh no!" "What is it?" "I left my oranges up there," said Sol, pointing out of the door. "My shoes too." "What oranges?" "The ones I bought from the farm over the hill. They're a gift for my mistress. Nearly 30 of them." The woman wrinkled her nose. "Do they not have oranges in Manila?" "Cook said they're not as fine as these," said Sol, unable to keep the edge out of her voice. "That's true enough." Her voice was warm and calming, like sweet tea. "I own those orange groves, and I do agree that they are special. It's a variety that only grows in a few places in the world." She stood and walked to a shadowy corner, lifting a crate from beneath a table. "Here, you can take these." Sol peered in. It was full of oranges the same size as the ones she had left. "But I can't pay for them." "No need," the woman waved her hand. "They're a gift." "Thank you," said Sol, relief flooding through her. "But I have to get my shoes from the hill anyway." "You can't go now. It's too dark. You can fetch them tomorrow, before we leave for Manila." She did not want to argue. The house was comfortably cool and bright, and the woman was holding out a cup of tea to her. "Drink up." It was as warm and sweet as her voice. Sol finished it in 4 deep gulps, setting the tea leaves swirling. The woman stood to refill the cup from a kettle over the fire. Sol looked around. The floor consisted of a thick mat of plaited dried grass, and the few pieces of furniture were square and sturdy, like the woman. "It's not much," said the woman, "but it's home." "It's lovely." It was. It felt as though the house had been there as long as the forest, sprouting chairs and windows like roots and branches. The woman's face broke into a wide smile. "I think so, but there are far grander houses in the city. Where I live, the floors have carpets, so it's always hot, and the people aren't so grand as their houses would have you believe." The woman frowned, the lines splitting her face, making her look far older than she had the moment before. "I hope your mistress is not cruel to you." "Oh, she's very kind, and I'm not her servant. She runs the orphanage. Sol hesitated. She hated the pity that followed the next words. "An orphan." "Oh, me too," said the woman, a sad smile on her face. They sat quietly a moment, the teacup cooling between Sol's palms. Let me just see. Oh no, I think we need to do another page before we split. "Anyway," the woman said, clucking her tongue, "it's a strange world where someone may run an orphanage with carpets and yet not even think to give the orphans shoes." So Sol remembered her bare feet. "Oh, I have shoes. I left them with the oranges." "Ah, yes, you did tell me." The woman rapped her forehead suddenly, as if she was knocking on a door. "Silly me, and I haven't even asked your name. I do things all out of order. You'll soon see. What is your name?" "Sol." "Lovely. And I am Amihan." Ooh, I wonder if you'd guessed that. She paused and cleared her throat before asking, "Do you like it at the orphanage, Sol?" Sol shrugged. "It's all right. It used to be horrible, but since the mistress took over, it's been quite nice. Almost like a home," she thought. But she had enough of talking about herself. Her small and boring life with its small and boring details. The words that had been burning her tongue forced their way out before she could stop them, coming out high and garbled. "The butterflies." Amihan looked at her over the rim of her cup. The butterflies," Sol tried again. "What? Why are they here?" Amihan swallowed. "They are here because I am here." "Are they yours?" "Not truly," the woman said, "but I care for them. I am more theirs than they are mine." Right, we're going to carry on in a new video with this one. I'm really enjoying this. So, this is Amihan 30 years later. Have you worked out where the hut is yet? I'm not going to say it, but I bet you have. Right, we'll listen to the second part of 30 Years Later, part 2.